Life is unpredictable and challenging. It has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it, disrupting plans, and shaking the very foundation of your existence. Sometimes it feels like you've been walking on a steady, smooth path, only to suddenly find yourself stumbling into a deep, rocky ravine. These moments are inevitable, and no one is exempt from them. They come in many forms: loss, failure, heartbreak, or unexpected change. It's not about whether you will encounter challenges, it's about how you understand and respond to them. When you first face a setback, it can feel overwhelming. The initial shock of a challenge often leaves you questioning everything. Why did this happen? What did I do wrong? How do I move forward? In those moments, it's easy to believe that life is unfair or that the obstacles you're facing are too big to overcome. But these challenges, no matter how painful or insurmountable they seem, are part of life's fabric. They're not designed to destroy you, but to test and shape you. Imagine standing at the edge of a forest, staring into a maze of towering trees and thick undergrowth. You don't know where the path leads or what lies ahead, but you have to move forward. Life's challenges are like that forest. They're confusing and intimidating, and they require courage to navigate. The truth is, you can't control the forest, you can't decide how thick the trees will be or where the roots will trip you up. But you can control how you choose to face it. You can decide to take one step at a time, no matter how small, instead of turning back or staying frozen in place. The unpredictable nature of life means that no one can plan for every scenario. You might prepare meticulously, set clear goals, and work tirelessly, only to have a sudden change derail everything. A loss of a job, the end of a relationship, or an unexpected illness can completely alter the trajectory of your plans. In those moments, it's natural to feel lost or disheartened. But it's also an opportunity to remember that life is not about the plan, it's about the process. Plans can crumble, but the process of adapting, learning, and growing is what keeps you moving forward. Challenges don't just test your resilience, they reveal parts of yourself you may not have known existed. You discover how strong you are when you have no other choice but to keep going. You learn patience when progress is slow. You gain courage when you confront your fears. And perhaps most importantly, you learn that setbacks are not permanent, they're moments in time, not the end of your story. Life's unpredictability also teaches humility. It reminds you that despite your best efforts, there will always be things outside your control. Accepting this truth doesn't mean giving up, it means acknowledging that uncertainty is part of the journey. It's about learning to flow with the changes instead of fighting against them. This mindset doesn't eliminate challenges, but it shifts your perspective, helping you see them not as barriers, but as opportunities to grow and adapt. Think of the strongest people you know. Chances are they've been through hardships that tested their limits. They faced moments when giving up seemed easier than pressing on. But they emerged stronger, not because life was kind to them, but because they learned to navigate its unpredictability. They adapted, rebuilt, and found strength in the struggle. Ultimately, life's challenges remind us that we are not defined by what happens to us, but by how we respond. Each twist and turn, every unexpected obstacle is an invitation to grow, to dig deeper, and to discover the resilience within. Life may not always unfold the way we want, but it always offers us the chance to rise above the chaos and emerge stronger than before. Rebuilding is a choice. It's not something that happens automatically, nor is it something others can do for you. It is an intentional decision, a moment when you look at your life, your circumstances, and your struggles and say, I am not staying here. I am moving forward. That choice doesn't come easily. It's born in the midst of pain, disappointment, or even despair, and it requires a deep sense of courage to make it. When life knocks you down, it's tempting to stay there. There's a certain comfort in wallowing in the familiar pain, in accepting the narrative that things will never get better. The mind often whispers lies, this is just who you are now. There's no point in trying. You're not strong enough to change. Those thoughts can be loud, persistent, and convincing, but they are not the truth. The truth is that no matter how far you've fallen, no matter how broken or defeated you feel, you can choose to rebuild. This choice is not about pretending everything is fine or forcing yourself to move on before you're ready. Rebuilding begins with acknowledging where you are. It's about looking honestly at the rubble of your life and accepting the reality of what has happened. That acceptance is not weakness, it's strength. It's the first step in taking control of your story. You're saying, yes, this is my reality, but it's not my final destination. Once you make the choice to rebuild, you'll realize it's not a one-time decision, but a series of decisions made every single day. It's waking up in the morning and deciding to take even the smallest step forward, no matter how difficult it feels. Some days, that step might be monumental, making a tough decision, seeking help, or starting a new project. Other days, it might be as simple as getting out of bed, taking a deep breath, or showing yourself a little kindness. Both are victories because they come from the same place, the choice to keep going. Rebuilding also means letting go of the past, not in the sense of forgetting it, but in refusing to let it define you. The things that broke you, the mistakes you made, the people who hurt you, they are part of your story, but they are not the whole story. You have the power to write the next chapter. That's what rebuilding is, creating something new, something better, on the foundation of what you've learned. It's not about erasing the past, but about transforming it into wisdom and strength. Making the choice to rebuild also means embracing uncertainty. There's no guarantee of success, no roadmap to follow. Rebuilding requires faith in yourself, faith in the process, and faith in the possibility of a brighter future. It's about stepping into the unknown with the belief that even if you stumble, you have what it takes to get back up and keep moving forward. Choosing to rebuild is also an act of defiance. It's a refusal to be defeated by life's circumstances. It's saying to yourself and to the world, I am more than my failures. I am more than my pain. I am capable of growth, change, and renewal. That defiance is powerful. It's what fuels the resilience you need to face challenges head on and to keep building even when progress feels slow or invisible. Ultimately, rebuilding is a deeply personal journey. No one can tell you exactly how to do it, and no one can do it for you. It's a choice only you can make, and it's a choice you have to make every day. But in making that choice, you take back control of your life. You reclaim your power, your purpose, and your potential. You become not just the survivor of your story, but the author of it. That is the power of choosing to rebuild. Embrace persistence, not perfection. The process of rebuilding yourself is not a smooth, linear journey. It's messy, filled with missteps, and sometimes it feels like you're taking one step forward and two steps back. But that's okay, because the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to keep moving forward, no matter how small the steps may seem. This journey requires persistence, a relentless determination to rise again and again, even when it feels like the world is against you. Perfection is a trap. It convinces you that unless you can do something flawlessly, it's not worth doing at all. It paralyzes you, making you afraid to take risks, to try new things, or to confront your weaknesses. But the truth is, perfection doesn't exist. No one who has ever accomplished anything meaningful did so without stumbling, without failing, without falling short at some point. The people you admire, the ones who seem to have it all together, have one thing in common: they persisted. They kept going when it was hard, when it was messy, and when it seemed impossible. Persistence means showing up, even when you don't feel like it. It means pushing forward, even when the progress is slow or invisible. It's about doing the work day in and day out, trusting that the effort you put in today will pay off tomorrow, even if you can't see the results right away. Persistence is what turns small, consistent actions into big, life-changing outcomes over time. It's the engine that keeps you going when motivation fades, when obstacles arise, and when doubts creep in. In the process of rebuilding, you'll make mistakes, you'll take wrong turns, and sometimes you'll fall flat on your face. But these moments are not failures, they're lessons. Every mistake teaches you something valuable about yourself, about the world, and about what it takes to grow. Embracing persistence means accepting those lessons with humility and using them to move forward. It means forgiving yourself for your missteps and refusing to let them define you. There will be days when persistence feels like a monumental effort. Days when you question why you're even trying, when giving up seems so much easier. Those are the moments that matter most. Because persistence isn't about never feeling discouraged, it's about pushing through the discouragement. It's about finding that tiny spark of hope, that small reason to keep going, even when everything feels heavy. It's about believing in the possibility of something better, even if you can't see it yet. Persistence also requires patience. Growth doesn't happen overnight. Rebuilding yourself is a slow, deliberate process, and it's easy to get frustrated when you don't see immediate results. But real change takes time. It's like planting a seed. You can't expect it to sprout and bloom the moment you put it in the ground. You have to water it, nurture it, and wait for it to grow. And just like that seed, your efforts will eventually bear fruit if you stay consistent and patient. Another important aspect of persistence is resilience, the ability to bounce back after setbacks. Rebuilding yourself doesn't mean you'll never face challenges again. In fact, you might encounter more obstacles as you grow and push yourself out of your comfort zone. But resilience allows you to face those challenges without losing sight of your goals. It gives you the strength to adapt, to regroup, and to keep moving forward, no matter what comes your way. Finally, persistence is about celebrating progress, no matter how small. It's easy to focus on how far you still have to go, but it's equally important to acknowledge how far you've already come. Every small victory, every step forward, is proof of your strength and determination. It's a reminder that you're capable of change, growth, and transformation. Rebuilding yourself is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about refusing to give up even when the path is difficult. It's about showing up for yourself every day, no matter how imperfectly, and trusting that your persistence will lead you to the life you're working to build. Confronting your fears and weaknesses is one of the most critical aspects of rebuilding yourself. It's a process that requires honesty, courage, and a willingness to face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. This is not an easy task, far from it. It's uncomfortable, even painful at times. But it is also liberating, transformative, and ultimately essential for growth. Fears and weaknesses are like shadows that follow us around. They're not always visible in the light of day, but when things get dark, when challenges arise, they tend to loom large. These fears might include a fear of failure, rejection, or not being good enough. Weaknesses could be habits or behaviors that hold you back, like procrastination, self-doubt, or a lack of discipline. Whatever form they take, they can feel like barriers blocking your path to the person you want to become. But here's the truth: those barriers only have as much power as you give them. Facing your fears starts with identifying them. It requires taking a hard, honest look at what's holding you back. This might mean admitting that you're afraid of trying something new because you're worried about failing. It might mean acknowledging that you avoid certain situations because they make you feel vulnerable or out of control. This level of self-awareness can be uncomfortable, but it's also the first step in taking back your power. You can't confront what you don't acknowledge. Once you've identified your fears, the next step is to challenge them. Fear thrives in the unknown. It feeds on what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. But when you shine a light on your fears, when you examine them closely and question their validity, you often find that they're not as overwhelming as they seem. For example, if you're afraid of failure, ask yourself what's the worst that could happen. And if that worst-case scenario came true, could you survive it? More often than not, the answer is yes. Similarly, confronting your weaknesses means accepting that they exist without letting them define you. Everyone has weaknesses. They're a natural part of being human. The key is not to deny or ignore them, but to work on them. This could mean developing new skills, building better habits, or seeking help from others. Weaknesses are not permanent flaws, they're opportunities for growth. By addressing them head-on, you transform them from obstacles into stepping stones. Confronting your fears and weaknesses also means stepping out of your comfort zone. Growth doesn't happen in the safe, familiar spaces where you're in control. It happens when you take risks, try new things, and push yourself beyond your limits. This might mean having difficult conversations, taking on challenges that intimidate you, or pursuing goals that feel just out of reach. These experiences can be daunting, but they're also incredibly rewarding. Each time you face a fear or tackle a weakness, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought. Another important aspect of confronting fears and weaknesses is learning to be kind to yourself in the process. This journey is not about beating yourself up for the things you're afraid of or the areas where you fall short. It's about recognizing that fear and weakness are part of being human, and that growth comes from working through them, not from denying or hiding them. Show yourself the same compassion you would show a friend who's struggling. Encourage yourself, celebrate small victories, and remind yourself that progress is more important than perfection. As you confront your fears and weaknesses, you'll begin to notice something powerful happening. They lose their hold over you. The things that once seemed insurmountable become manageable. The weaknesses that once felt like chains start to feel like challenges you can overcome. You realize that your fears don't define you, and that your weaknesses don't limit your potential. They're simply parts of your journey, lessons to learn from and grow through. This process of confronting fears and weaknesses is not a one-time event. It's a lifelong practice, one that requires courage and commitment. But with each step you take, you grow stronger, more resilient, and more confident in your ability to face whatever comes your way. It's through this work that you truly rebuild yourself, not as someone free of fear or weakness, but as someone who refuses to be held back by them. Only you can rebuild your life. This is a truth that is both empowering and daunting. In times of hardship or failure, it's natural to look outward, hoping someone else will come along to rescue you or fix what's broken. Friends, family, and mentors can offer guidance, support, and encouragement, but the responsibility for rebuilding ultimately rests on your shoulders. It's your life, your journey, and your story to rewrite. No one else can do it for you. Rebuilding yourself starts with taking ownership of your life. It requires accepting where you are, no matter how challenging or painful the circumstances may be. This is not about blaming yourself or dwelling on mistakes. It's about recognizing that your current reality is yours to shape. It's about shifting your mindset from victimhood to empowerment. You may not have control over everything that happens to you, but you always have control over how you respond. And that response is what determines your path forward. When you take responsibility for your life, you stop waiting for others to give you permission to move forward. You stop relying on external validation, and you start relying on yourself. This doesn't mean rejecting help or refusing support. It means understanding that help and support are tools you can use, not crutches you depend on. The foundation of your rebuild must come from within, from your own determination, vision, and action. One of the most powerful aspects of rebuilding yourself is the freedom it offers. When you realize that no one else is responsible for your life, you also realize that no one else can dictate what it should look like. You get to decide what you want to build, who you want to become, and how you want to live. This freedom can feel overwhelming at first, especially if you're starting from a place of loss or uncertainty. But it's also an incredible opportunity, a blank canvas on which you can paint a new picture of your life. Rebuilding requires self-awareness. You need to understand what matters most to you, what drives you, and what you want to achieve. This process involves asking yourself difficult questions. What do I value? What kind of person do I want to be? What are my strengths? And where do I need to grow? The answers to these questions provide the blueprint for your rebuild. They give you direction and purpose, helping you focus on what truly matters. Taking ownership of your life also means being willing to put in the work. Rebuilding is not a passive process. It demands effort, commitment, and consistency. It means setting goals, creating a plan, and following through, even when it's hard. It means showing up for yourself every day, taking small steps that add up over time. And it means staying resilient when progress feels slow or setbacks occur. This is your life's work, and it's worth every ounce of energy you put into it. One of the challenges of rebuilding is that it can feel lonely at times. Even with support from others, the work of rebuilding yourself is deeply personal. No one else can fully understand your journey, your struggles, or your dreams. But this solitude is also a source of strength. It's in these moments of introspection that you discover your true power, the strength that comes from within, unshaken by external circumstances. As you take responsibility for rebuilding your life, you'll start to see the incredible potential you hold. You'll realize that the same strength that got you through your hardest days can be used to create something new. You'll see that you are not defined by what has happened to you, but by what you choose to do next. No matter how much support or guidance you receive, the act of rebuilding must come from you. It's your courage, your persistence, and your vision that will shape your future. And as you take each step, you'll grow more confident in your ability to navigate life's challenges. You'll see that you have the power to rebuild not just once, but as many times as necessary. This is your life, and only you can rebuild it. The tools, the strength, and the potential are already within you. It's up to you to use them. Transformation takes time, and rebuilding yourself is a process that requires patience and commitment. In a world that often celebrates instant results and quick fixes, it can be tempting to expect immediate change. You might want to wake up one day and feel completely renewed, free of the pain or struggles that brought you to this point. But true transformation doesn't work that way. It's not about a single moment of change, it's about a series of small, consistent steps that add up over time to create something extraordinary. When you begin the process of rebuilding, it's important to recognize that progress will likely be slow. Some days you may feel like you're making great strides, while on others it might seem like nothing is happening at all. This ebb and flow are natural. Growth is rarely a straight line, it's more like a winding road with twists, turns, and occasional backtracking. The key is to trust the process and stay committed, even when results aren't immediately visible. Patience is essential, because rebuilding yourself often involves unlearning old habits and beliefs that no longer serve you. These patterns may have been with you for years, deeply ingrained in your behavior and mindset. Changing them is not as simple as flipping a switch, it takes time and effort. You have to be willing to confront these patterns, understand where they come from, and replace them with healthier, more constructive alternatives. This kind of deep, meaningful change cannot be rushed. Another reason transformation takes time is that it's a holistic process. Rebuilding yourself isn't just about addressing one aspect of your life, it's about creating balance and growth across multiple areas. You might be working on your physical health, emotional well-being, relationships, career, or personal goals all at once. Each of these areas is interconnected, and progress in one can influence progress in another. But because you're addressing so many facets of your life, the process naturally requires patience and persistence. It's also important to remember that setbacks are a normal part of the journey. There will be days when you feel like you've taken a step backward or when old habits resurface. These moments can be frustrating, but they are not failures. They're opportunities to learn, to reassess, and to recommit to your goals. Setbacks are not a sign that you're not making progress, they're a reminder that growth is challenging and that persistence matters more than perfection. Transformation also involves periods of reflection. As you rebuild yourself, you'll need to take time to evaluate your progress, celebrate your wins, and adjust your approach as needed. These moments of reflection are crucial because they help you stay connected to your purpose and remind you of how far you've come. They also allow you to acknowledge and honor the effort you've put in, which can be a powerful motivator to keep going. One of the most beautiful aspects of taking your time with transformation is that it allows you to truly appreciate the journey. When you rush through life, constantly seeking quick results, you miss out on the growth and self-discovery that come from the process itself. Rebuilding yourself slowly gives you the chance to savor each small victory, to recognize your resilience, and to build a deeper connection with who you are and who you're becoming. Ultimately, the time it takes to rebuild yourself is not a burden but a gift. It's a chance to lay a solid foundation for the future, one that is rooted in authenticity, strength, and purpose. The transformation you seek is not just about reaching a destination, it's about becoming the kind of person who can thrive no matter what challenges come your way. By committing to the process and embracing the time it takes, you give yourself the opportunity to create lasting, meaningful change. Transformation isn't about how fast you can rebuild yourself, it's about how deeply you can grow, how much you can learn, and how strong you can become. Time is not your enemy, it's your ally. Trust it, honor it, and let it guide you as you rebuild yourself into the person you're meant to be. Rebuilding yourself is a journey of resilience, determination, and growth. It requires making the choice to move forward, embracing persistence over perfection, confronting your fears and weaknesses, taking responsibility for your own life, and understanding that transformation takes time. It's a process that demands patience, but with each step you grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. Remember, only you have the power to rebuild your life, and through every challenge, setback, and triumph, you are becoming the person you are destined to be. Stay committed, trust the process, and never stop growing.